Is it bad that I felt hungry after watching The Green Inferno? I was pretty excited to finally be able to see The Green Inferno in theaters. I've been following this movie for a couple of years now, and I know filming and distribution was kind of a nightmare for Eli Roth, but in my opinion, it was worth the wait, and the movie delivers on being a violent, gory, Amazonian nightmare. Now, going into The Green Inferno, I was sort of mentally prepared for a modernized Cannibal Holocaust. Cannibal Holocaust is one of the few movies that I can honestly say got to me. It's just that there's some real life animal kill scenes in that movie, particularly one where a tortoise is completely ripped apart as it's hunted for food and they rip the shell off. There's some close-ups of it kind of showing suffering. There's those scenes. There's some really brutal, violent scenes. And just the way that it's shot, it's really run and gun with a documentary feel that makes it feel real. And it's just considered one of the most violent movies ever made, so that's kind of what I was expecting from The Green Inferno in a way. Now, as weird as it sounds, getting that feeling from a horror movie is an experience. I'm not saying it's a good experience because that would be psychotic. Nobody likes to watch suffering, but part of why we watch horror movies is for that shock value. And I'm not in the camp that a movie has to scare you to be a good horror movie, but a lot of people feel that way, that if they weren't terrified or had a crazy emotion from it, it wasn't a good movie. But with The Green Inferno, it's one of those experiences where it's something that may actually shock you or make you feel disgusted or revolted. So I guess what I'm saying is my measure for The Green Inferno was Cannibal Holocaust, which is a pretty big measuring stick, but I can honestly say The Green Inferno had me feeling disgusted and uncomfortable 2 to 3 times and was a pretty entertaining movie that I would probably consider Eli Roth's best. Now, I've heard other people bashing this movie for being just another violent bloodbath or supporting deforestation for how it portrays the tribes, and I didn't really feel that way. I actually felt like this movie had more to it than I expected going in. It's not just humans eating humans, there's actually some other layers here and a lot of multiple perspectives that make you kind of question who the bad guy is at the end. For people to say The Green Inferno is just a mindless mess is kind of insulting to me because even a movie like Cannibal Holocaust, a movie that's still banned in several countries and is probably a movie most people wouldn't want to sit through, has some interesting layers to it. There's the violence of the journalists versus the violence of the natives, and it pulls up that point of view of whether or not the civilized world is really that much more civilized than the native world, and that theme is very much apparent in The Green Inferno as well. So for the plot of The Green Inferno, imagine a Venn diagram, and in the middle is the Amazon, and then there's all these rival parties trying to get a piece of it. So you've got the native tribes trying to live off the land, you've got the money-hungry corporations trying to get the oil in the Amazon. There's a social activist group, that's our main characters, trying to prevent deforestation. And then you've got the rest of the world just feeding off the media and kind of their interpretation of what's going on in the Amazon. It might seem like it would be easy to take sides in this movie. Maybe you go with the natives who are just calling this place their home, even though they are cannibals. Or maybe you go with the social activist group that's trying to prevent deforestation. But it's not that black and white. That added dimension is not why people are going to buy tickets to see this movie, though. It's all about the shock value and what's being touted as another gory Eli Roth movie, something he's been so associated with since Hostel. If you've seen an Eli Roth movie before, you probably know he likes to spend a lot of time getting to know the main characters. There is a pretty lengthy exposition part before we even get to the Amazon. Might feel a little long and drag out a little bit long, but once the movie does hit, it hits pretty hard. If you're interested in The Green Inferno for its shock value, there's not much I can describe here. Go see it for yourself. There is some eyeballs being ripped out, limbs being torn off, skin being chewed, and a pretty heavy potential female genital mutilation scene. For all the violence that is in The Green Inferno, I wouldn't say it's even half as violent as Cannibal Holocaust, and that's in part because there actually is some comedic relief in this movie. 2 words: stoned cannibals. The big 3 suspense moments are this social activist group taking a stand against the construction workers that are going to tear down the forest, and they've got military protecting them. So the group is actually just going in with their cell phones, kind of doing a nonviolent protest, and the consequences are death or getting shot are heavy. Then their plane crashes and they're all trapped in this cage and see one of their group get eaten early on. You know that's going to happen in this movie. So the rest of the movie is like, who's going to be eaten next? Who's going to be the one that gets pulled out of the cage? And then the final setup is the main character, Justine, gets selected to be a part of this tribe's genital mutilation ritual, and she gets put through their process where it's kind of a couple day thing where her body's painted and she's being prepped for it, and you know it's coming, but their time to get out and escape is dwindling, and those moments are actually just really suspenseful. These plot points are actually set up pretty well and actually allow the violent, gory scenes to have weight and actually make the death scenes feel scary. From a technical standpoint, what Eli Roth and this crew were able to accomplish is pretty impressive. This is not a movie filmed on a Hollywood backlot set with a fake forest and fake CG limb and gore effects. They did this stuff for real and did it in the Peruvian jungle. They actually used non-actors, they used real locals in this movie, and it gives it a ton of authenticity and cred. So the positives are that realism literally bleeds off the screen. The plane crash scene is one of the best I've seen, and the blood and gore effects are really second to none, all practical effects. There is some poor acting moments, that's something I won't discredit. The ending reaction of the main character and kind of what she does is a little surprising and maybe a little unrealistic, but overall, I think the movie is a pretty successful accomplishment, and it's just a spectacle to see for where it's filmed and what happens. The Green Inferno is something that feels original and foreign and like something you've never seen before. It just takes you to a really crazy setting with a really nightmarish scenario, and to me it gave me a reaction that not all horror movies give me, which is something that I can appreciate. Thanks for watching what is, for me, a long-anticipated Saw It for the Green Inferno. We also did a makeup video where I become the tribal leader. Click here to watch that. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and watch more gore by subscribing to us on YouTube. I feel like I have a condom on my head.
You look kind of cute, bald.
I think it's just that she has a crush on Patrick Stewart.
You're going swimming.